So my niece puts on the movie The Star, and we're watching it. And whole time I'm barely seeing any of it because I'm really on a call on dispute with PayPal because I didn't sign up for no YouTube Premium account membership, and yet somehow I got charged. I don't know how that payment was authorized. No clue. To this day, no clue. Because I remember when they attempted to charge me the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I was in the middle of traveling, and I was like, what? Never signed up for this. And then I just remember being like, okay, well, I'm locking my cards. So the card was locked when they charged me, which is another issue. But anyway, so I'm on the phone with PayPal, and I'm mad. I'm frustrated because it's like I went to Mexico for 2 months and was in a space of doing a lot of shadow work. It was a lot of shadow work that was needed. I had to work through a lot of my lack beliefs, subconscious beliefs. I had to calm my nervous system because where I live, where I grew up, Maryland, it's on my karmic line, my Saturn line. And I feel like sometimes when I'm home, it's like the energy just feels thicker, like everything just feels so much harder to just be, to just exist. Like you just are constantly fighting unnecessary battles, right? And Mexico didn't feel like that. Felt like, yeah, there's challenges here and there, right? Heat or like getting sick or randomly developing an allergy or eczema. I don't know. Never had that in my life, but now I do. Its own little challenges, but nothing to this degree, in my opinion. And I'm not even counting this as a degree. Let's not count this as a degree. What I mean is like little things that are constantly a battle, constantly. Like every day, it's like 10 new things. And so I even had to reset my nervous system so that I didn't even have the belief that I have these battles every day. You know, that I'm calm, I experience calm. Like I worked through, and I even reincorporated and integrated all the lessons, all the tools, all the mental things that I needed to incorporate in my day so that I can calm my nervous system, do like a breathing work exercise to like breathe out the old belief systems and inhale, the new ones. Very, very specific breath work tools. And I felt like I really did the work, but then I come home and I'm integrating the work and there's still the challenges, and it just feels like, is this matrix breakable, or like, is it just trying to break me? And when I say I am very frustrated, I mean, it doesn't seem like that big a deal, right? Because, oh, it's only $25. But when you are in a space where you're already trying to get yourself situated and you need everything you can because you are heading to the next destination, you're no longer resonating at the frequency you're resonating at before. You were just trying to handle business that you needed to handle. When things that kind of come out of nowhere unforeseeably so kind of step in the way and kind of, they don't dampen like your confidence or like your, like I know that a year from now I probably won't even remember this. And that happens a lot where like I think back on like I went through so much last year, like a lot, like a very much lot. Like the little things I'm talking about now, like I was dealing with that last year on like another level. But I only remember the main things. The little things that I dealt with on a day-to-day that made it feel worse and less manageable and less bearable, I don't remember those. I cried and I moved through it and I moved on, because that's what happens, right? When your nervous system is so used to being attacked, you get used to just kind of like eating the hard days. You're like, bro, another one for the books. And you don't even remember it in a year. You remember the hardest days, the ones where too many things hit you at one time. You remember the hardest days when too many things hit you at one time. But you don't remember the days where they weren't so hard, but it was a bunch of little things too. You don't remember those days as much. You can remember the feeling that you felt within the year. You can remember the pain, the hardship, you can probably remember having to numb so you can get through. I remember wanting to end it all several times. Just being like, bro, could it really be worse? I don't think so. I remember feeling that way. In the days where I thought it couldn't be worse, it got worse. It felt like that. But the last 2 months didn't feel like that. This whole year didn't feel like that. I cut a lot of people out. I isolated, did a lot of shadow work, and I accomplished so much. And I'm so proud of myself for how far I came. But it's like little things like this that get me feeling the heaviness that I felt. And I did not plan on melting down in front of y'all. I actually came here to give an encouraging message, actually. I came to give an encouraging message. Because I was sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't sign up for none of this. You know what I mean? Like, even when I said I want a specific lifestyle, I want to be great, I want to do something that changes and impacts lives on a generational level, I started to become aware after all the hardships that if I was going to attribute my life to that I was going to be up against unseen forces, probably until I die. And I became okay with understanding that what I want to do in this world and in this life is going to be met with a lot of resistance, right? So I can't say I didn't ask for it. I can't say I didn't sign up for it. I can't say that, you know what I'm saying, life is going to be easier. More money might come, but it doesn't mean life is going to be easier. I might have gotten rid of my lack mentality, but it doesn't mean life will just simply be easier. I will still meet obstacles and resistance. And the reality is, because I grew up on my karmic line, I will have all of the wherewithal to actually combat all of the difficult battles, the harder days, the light days, whatever. If I made it through those darkest times where I lost my dad and I was in a car accident, my grandma passed away, dealt with narcissists, I was assaulted, a whole bunch of stuff happened in the same year. That last one I've never actually publicly spoke on. Actually, only a few people know about that. But I was sitting and watching this movie, The Star, after I got off the phone with PayPal, and I was thinking about my life and thinking about the difficulty and feeling like I didn't sign up for this, but knowing, like, on a deep spiritual level, yes, I did. And I'm watching the story of Mary, and I'm like, you know, as kids, we learn the story, but, like, when you revisit it as an adult, imagine you ain't signed up for getting pregnant. You're like 13. You ain't signed up for getting pregnant. And then people don't even believe you. Oh, you was out here being fast. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. How you gonna tell everybody the Holy Spirit got me pregnant? Who gonna believe that? Like, and then you find out they're trying to kill babies. So you gotta run. You gotta flee while you're pregnant. You know how hot and inflamed and tired women are when they're pregnant? I've never been pregnant, but just from every woman I've ever known that's talked about their pregnancy, I already get the gist of what they're talking about. I'll understand it better once I've lived it, but I'm an empath, and it doesn't mean that I understand what it means to be pregnant or be a mother or have children or anything like that, but I will say that I can deeply understand the feelings behind it. I can really, really understand it. Like, I haven't lived it, but I can understand it. So imagine having to deal with that, though, but now you're also fleeing for your life. And then you're trying to have your baby, and there's no room anywhere for you to just, like, comfortably. And when I say comfortably, I say that with a grain of salt, because I was actually just having a discussion with this at the Thanksgiving table with my family. Well, actually just with my mom and sis, but we were talking about the fact that there's no such thing as, like, being able to have a baby comfortably. You know, you can do all the things, the doula, the water birth, and it's just painful no matter what. You're just trying to take away as much dis-ease as you can. Like, that's it. It's just trying to eliminate the most you can as far as, like, pain is concerned, right? But she's doing that, having to do that while her senses are probably heightened as a pregnant woman. So the smell of the barn. Have you ever been in a barn? Have you been by like a horse stable? Gross. It smells gross. And she had to have her baby in there because she couldn't have her baby anywhere else. Not comfortable, probably on a stack of hay. She was probably laying on a stack of hay. You know how uncomfortable it is to be on a stack of hay in general? She ain't signed up for none of that. And I'm not saying I'm married, but I'm just saying. And then she did her role and then still had to lose her son. And it's not easy for a mother to lose a son. I watched my mom go through that when I was 10. Mothers don't recover from that. They're not supposed to see their children go. That's not the order of operations, right? Not typically. But that is what it is. And that was Mary's experience. And in times where they didn't have advanced technology, you know what I'm saying? She could order an Uber to flee, you know what I'm saying? I can't imagine. And I don't want to imagine. But she gave birth to someone who, whether you believe in everything he did or just part of what he did or a lot of what he did or the literals of what he did or the analogies or like, you know, how people, the interpretations rather. That man was great. No matter what, no matter how you look at it. And he did things, no matter how you look at it, once again, that would change the course of humanity forever. And I have asked to create something like that. And so I have been given the I didn't sign up for it package. the Mary package. And I'm just coming to terms with it. Because there are some days where I'm like, bro, I know I chose to come back, right? I didn't have to. I know that I fulfilled whatever my last lifetime destiny was. And I didn't have to. I made a choice. And I question that all the time. Like, really? Why? Why did I do that? But now that I'm here, I'm about to body it like I'm divine. That's it. That little story, because it's funny, I was sending my friend a voice note. Talking about my frustrations. And at the very end, I stopped to breathe for a second. And I literally heard Mary say, I know it's not going to be easy, but I can't remember the other part she said. Something about, I got to go back to the line. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Star. Maybe you guys can quote it. If I find it, I'll write it at the bottom. But I haven't posted on this page in a while. I have videos for it, but I haven't posted in a while. And I'm just hoping that I can encourage someone that understands that when you are trying to make a great change, it requires great sacrifice. It requires you to develop your character into the kind that can handle hard days, difficult days, small challenges, large challenges. It's important to be in a space where, because you've handled this your whole life, you can actually make the changes. I don't know if you realize, but the people that come from the most affluent and, wealthy, the kind of impact they're able to make, the kind of changes they're probably just able to give financially, right? And that's about it. Let's just write a check. But the actual like labor, the actual hard labor, the legwork that it takes to actually pour into making generational changes that you'll see today, but will also have an effect that lasts beyond the next 2 to 3 decades, the next 2 to 3 generations. That is not light work, and it's not going to be placed on someone who hasn't had the burden of being burdened. If you've never had the burden of being burdened, you wouldn't understand what it's like to lighten a burden. You wouldn't understand the need to lighten a burden. You wouldn't understand the necessity for challenging other burdens. If everything you've ever felt was ease, burdens wouldn't matter to you. Couldn't even look that way. I have a friend who, she gets everything she wants out of life, and I love that for her. I'm inspired by it, and it helps me to reprogram my own mind, my own mental, all the time. And I wonder, and it's not that she hasn't dealt with hardships, but I think it's her mentality and how she looks at things. And it's such a privilege to be able to have a mentality that just looks at any challenge. It's like kind of almost like a joke where it's like, oh, well, I'll be over this in a moment. You know, it's very Sagittarius energy. Because I know that when life has gone downhill for me, I've just been like, yeah, I'm going on a trip. I'm going on a flight. I'm catching a flight. I'm out of here. And it's not necessarily escapism, but kind of is, you know, in a sense of just knowing like the problem will still be there, whether I go or not. So I might as well just like live and enjoy life. And you'd be surprised how much just doing that sometimes literally eases up your burdens in life. You come back and you're like, even though I still have to tackle this, I don't feel as heavy as I did. So I totally get it. I get the mentality, and it helps me, it challenges me, it inspires me, it grows me. But I often think to myself, dang, wonder how nice it would be, you know, to like literally be able to live like that all the time. And then I remember like, is that what you want? Because that's different from what you've tasked yourself with. You said you want to literally see the kinds of changes, the kind of stuff that Christ said that humans would be able to do that people have not done yet. At least that's not been documented and like told again in history. That's the life I want to live. And I want to I look at people that go through life where like an issue for them I would call is like a first world problem, where like my Amazon package didn't get delivered on time. You know what I mean? And that's like some of their biggest issues. And it could be a big issue because if you needed something for work or school or whatever and it didn't come on time, very frustrating, very irritating. But I mean, like when I worked in Honduras and the power would go out every once in a while, or we'd lose water every once in a while, I started to understand like the depth of a third world problem versus a first world problem. You know what I mean? Like we had water tanks in our building, but not everyone did. Sometimes water would be gone for a whole week. But because we had a water tank, it had a reservoir of water that we could utilize for up to however long, you know, that the tank, until the tank ran out. Sometimes water would be gone for a week, and we'd have water almost all the way through that whole week because of the tank. But I would think about how many people went for an entire week without running water to clean, to bathe, to shower, to brush teeth. And that's just like a basic necessity to me, right? A basic necessity. And then I came back to America where I was working for a corporation, and people were complaining about not getting the Delta flight they wanted. I was doing the travel for the department. So it was like a trade show, and people had to fly to the different cities to do the trade shows, and people would request, you know, a specific flight. They would request a specific, and honestly, I approved whatever was in their budget. They had a manager they reported to. Their manager gave me the budget, and If it was outside of the budget, I wasn't approving it because the manager didn't approve it. But they would complain to me about it. And I was looking at them like, take it up with your manager. He's the one that approves the budget. I'm just okaying what's available. If you find one that's within budget, send it to me because I'm doing the research and I'm not finding it. And they would just, complain to the manager, and the manager would okay an increase in the budget. And I'd just be like, oh, so you're just wasting money to appease people. Okay. Whereas for me, it was like, I didn't care one way or the other. I was just grateful to be in a space where, like, I didn't have to think about water anymore. I didn't have to think about, and then I was teaching at the time. And at the school, they didn't always have toilet paper at the school. It was one thing where, like, parents were supposed to, like, donate it to the school so that they would always have toilet paper. But parents weren't always, like, wealthy enough to do that. And so kids would go days, in my classroom because no parents were donating toilet paper. It got to the point where I just told my mom, I was like, hey, Mom, we have a situation. There's no toilet paper. Some of these kids are smelling like boo-boo because they're not wiping themselves properly. She was like, okay. And I went and I got toilet paper for my class. But not every teacher was able to do that. You know what I mean? So it was like, for me, I was just grateful to be back in a space where the things that I took for granted, that are like everyday essentials to me, necessities to me, I was able to have access to. And I think Mexico, for me, the last 2 months was able to allow me to be back in that space again, where it was like, oh, we take for granted the things that we consider essential. We do. Air conditioning, heat, running water, access to water, a vehicle, any of these things. If you have any of them, just write a gratitude list right now, because that's more than enough. What's enough is a place to sleep, a place to sleep, food to eat, water. When you have all those other things, because we're living in a time where that's how we've developed. But you have to think about people who lived before life had developed. They was enduring winters without real walls. You know what I'm saying? Without real structured buildings. You feel me? Are you getting what I'm saying? Like, we built ourselves up to that. We created that. We call it a necessity. But it's just part of the matrix. And if you break the matrix down, none of that is a necessity. It's all excess. It's all stuff to be grateful for. And so these little things that we get frustrated about, they're just matrix problems. The matrix problems. First world problems, that's what I call them. And it's not to say that being frustrated about it is not valid, because this is your experience. You don't know what it was like to live without those things. This is all you've known. So all you've known is that, and then you have to live without those things. It does become a problem, right? Because you're used to something. But I think that's why I've always loved history, because I like to understand the structure and the breakdown of how things operate, how things came to be. Why are things the way that they are? Why are people the way that they are? I really want to understand humanity. I really want to understand this world. And I want to understand our creator, because why did you create it? Why do we exist in it? Why does it operate like this? And I've gotten a lot of answers that, if you have the same types of questions I've had, I think if it drives you crazy enough, you'll conclude the same answers. Nonetheless, I want to wrap this up, because I didn't intend for this to be this. I wanted this to be a TikTok, actually. I did not mean for this to be this. But I will say that I guess it became a download. And I felt the download coming on when, like, my stomach started getting heavy. Like, it was like a message. I was like, dang, I didn't mean to get here. But maybe sometimes the frustration is the channel through which I can have my downloads, or the pain or the upset. It's like a dial where once it's on, it's like, okay, download. Okay, whatever, understood. But I'm ready for it to just be gone now, because I just want to, like, I was supposed to be rehearsing for my gig tomorrow, and the whole PayPal thing took like 3-4 hours out of my night, between writing the dispute to them, writing the dispute to Google, YouTube, them denying it, me redoing it. them denying the redo, or not denying, but saying like, oh, you can't email us anymore. And figuring out what I needed to do next, which is submit an appeal, attempting to submit an appeal 3 times through 3 different platforms, then getting on the phone with it. That took 3 to 4 hours out of my night. And I did not mean to come here and do a long message. I just want to sit down, go through my set list for tomorrow, put my niece to bed, and try to rehearse. But the message is this. The homework is this. The homework is this. Gratitude list. Everything that you think is a necessity, everything that you think you absolutely need, could not live without. Just say, I am grateful for, on a piece of paper. Breath, life, blinking eyes, eyesight, both hands and feet. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you have, whether it's in you, it's on you, it's with you, it's part of you, just express gratitude right now. Because that will shift if you're in a similar space where you're feeling frustrated or you're trying to turn around your situation. That'll help you shift immediately. It's transmutation in the most simplest form. Because you can be as frustrated as you want to. You turn frustration into gratitude, and it's like charging a car battery. You're just ready to go now. Just ready to get to where you need to be. And there's nothing really going to hinder you. I know that this is going to get worked out. The hope is that it gets worked out by tomorrow. And if I expect it and I declare it and decree it, it will be. So I'm going to go about my night doing what I should be doing. You guys have your homework. The lesson of the day was this. Lesson of the day is this. You are given what you need to achieve what you ask for. So if you're asking for being able to change lives, you're going to endure hardships because to be able to change lives, you're going to need to know how to endure hardships, resistance, obstacles, left and right. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like you're running a, what's it called? What are those races? Y'all know what I'm talking about? What are those races where they got the hurdles? It's going to be like you're running hurdles where you're running. And have you ever seen a track star run a hurdle? They run very fast. They're not slowing down to jump over those hurdles. Ooh, okay, wow. Okay, sorry. I didn't expect that. But they're not slowing down to jump over those hurdles at all. They're going at full speed, and their legs are just going midair, jumping, right back on the ground, running. So these little hurdles that come, these obstacles that we practice in track practice, that's what this is. The obstacles that we deal with on a day-to-day, the little ones, the ones that annoy us, the things that come up that it's like, why are we dealing with this? Why is this here? I didn't even sign up for this. You know, the merry package. When you get used to the practice of it, you can go through the hurdles at full speed. It's not going to touch you. You're not going to fall, trip over them. You're not going to slow down. You're going to have it in the bag because you trained for this. If you didn't ask for that life, then you didn't ask for it. You know what I'm saying? You're not trying to change. You're not trying to do a bunch of stuff to impact people. You just want a simple life. I promise you, if you want the simple life, everything you ask for when it comes to the simple life will come to you. But if you ask for a life that is going to change some shit, that's going to be revolutionary, I promise you, it's not coming with that package. It's coming with the merry package. And so get used to having your gratitude list daily and integrating all of the tools that you need to continue on to the next phase so you can coast through those hurdles. Love y'all.